this is the origin story. Why do you gotta make it weird, Wingstop? That would change the trajectory. I can say that word. Direction. Let's go with direction. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Sam. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I am so happy to have you all here again with me this week. If you are new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, welcome. I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense, so if you're into that type of thing or you like today's video, I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel and make sure you never miss another upload from me. Today, where do we even begin? I guess let me start by saying you all should start this video thanking me, because I have been through the ringer for this week's video. The mouth noises, the things I've seen that I now can't unsee. It's very intense, and I definitely gagged, eye-watering through some of this to get to today's video. Because sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to be thorough and make good content. So that's what we did, but I promise, I'm gonna promise this at the outlay here, I'm going to cut as many of the mouth noises as humanly possible. I'm gonna try to protect you at all costs, so cheers to protecting your little ears. If you haven't sorted it out by now, today we are going to be talking about a youngster who's recently taken over TikTok. Her name is Jelly Bean Sweets, and she is going viral for being a soda-chugging, sauce-slinging, I was gonna say sensation, for the alliteration, but honestly, nightmare. She's a nightmare for most people to watch. So I figured today we should take a look at her content together and see if we can answer some of the internet's most burning questions, such as how did all of this mess get started? How did Jelly Bean Sweets go from this to this? And ultimately, is she the next Nikocado Avocado? Let's dig into the various eras of Jelly Bean Sweets together. Jelly Bean started her TikTok in March 2020 by her own accounts, where she was doing dancing content, as many were in the app's infancy. On her TikTok account, the first videos that are still available are from June 2021, and they give a little insight into her channel name, as they feature her baking various sweet treats in her kitchen. It was so clear to me as I went back and watched some of Jelly Bean's old content that this was very much a young person, fresh on social media, just trying to figure out what kind of niche was going to stick for her. So we saw those very early baking videos. She sprinkled in some story times, again, just testing that water. Ultimately, she ended up doing some dance videos to the Just Dance video game in her parents' basement. But also buried deep in the trenches of this early content that she has still available on her platforms, there are also a few videos of her eating. The one that struck me most was this one, because when you see the clips cut together like this, it appears as though she was testing what it would be like if she were to eat on camera. You can see she's tasting a variety of foods, some crunchy, some soft, some small, some things she would need to take multiple bites of, but you can very clearly see that she's watching herself in the camera to see how the food looks and how she looks while she's eating it. Despite her doing these test videos to try other niches and see where she might fit, the dancing content always reigned supreme. People really loved watching her do these Just Dance videos, so she kept doing them. And then she also, on top of the pre-recorded content, was doing pretty good with running live streams almost every single day. But as things go with the internet, and specifically social media and being an influencer, her views and likely her income from her videos was fluctuating. Due to these limitations of the algorithm not pushing her anymore to the For You page, we can see that she's still testing out other content, trying to see what's going to hit or what's going to miss for that algorithm. So now we see her doing things like reaction videos, where she's reacting to TikToks of people restocking their snack pantries, and she also tried her hand at some ASMR content. But alas, nothing was bringing her as many views as her dancing content, so she kept on posting it, and around this time, it was about a year and a half ago, you can see that her dance videos start hitting about 300,000 to 500,000 views per video, which was pretty good, again, for her small platform. She was hitting about 50,000 followers at that time. As her platform grew, she started to get targeted, and people were reporting her dancing live streams, and at that time, if you got reported on TikTok, they would take you down pretty quickly and also issue streaming bans where you couldn't live stream for a certain amount of time. So that kept happening to poor Jelly Bean, and when it did happen, that's when we started to see her do her very first mukbang content. She would eat Subway and do Q&As and talk with her audience. These eating videos are very chill, and it seemed like people actually enjoyed them, so she started doing more and more of them while waiting for these live stream bans to go away. Then in April 2023, we got our very first video of Jelly Bean Sweets eating without putting any sound behind it. Her first ASMR mukbang. After this video, we would start to see her doing more of this eat with me mukbang style content, with her taste testing kimchi, eating sushi while doing another Q&A, and doing her first ever McDonald's Filet-O-Fish mukbang. And I have to be honest, I laughed when I saw this clip because I know how the story ends, as do many of you. But at one point in time, she was very worried about spilling her sauces.
Of course, my 2 dipping sauces. Wow, that just spilled everywhere. Okay.
Then, at some point in June 2023, Jelly Bean Sweets would post a video that would change the direction of not only her channel and her content, but also her life online. It was a mukbang video where she ordered Wingstop for the first time, sharing with her audience that she had been pescatarian her whole life. Everyone was so excited to watch her eat chicken for the first time that her video hit a new high, reaching more than 1 million views. Now, as I mentioned, ever since Jelly Bean Sweets went viral, loads of people have been going back and checking her old content and trying to figure out where this thing started. What was the pinnacle moment that changed her content into what we know today? Which we're getting to. It's a hot mess if you've not been a part of it. There are loads and loads and loads of comments on nearly every single old video she has where people are saying, so this is where it started. This is it. This is the beginning. This is the origin story. But in my opinion, I don't think any of them are correct. I think this Wingstop mukbang hitting 1 million views was it for her, because up to this point, she was testing various different types of content to see what would stick. And this was the one that took her the furthest. And this would become the point where we would see mukbang content and eating content start to slowly take over the dancing content. Where before, as she was testing things, the dancing content always took the lead because it was getting the most views. She leaned heavy into leaving her pescatarianism. And for those who don't know, pescatarian is like being a vegetarian, except you also add fish and seafood to the mix. But in doing this, she started doing more and more of this chicken content, more regularly integrating mukbangs of her eating Raising Cane's, Wingstop, and Chick-fil-A. In these very early mukbang videos, she was eating one meal from these takeout places, talking a lot with her audience, and keeping herself and her surroundings relatively tidy. She was even worried at one point about her Chipotle burritos being too messy. During this time, she was also addressing the hate that she was starting to get, saying,
Bro, my whole page is about eating, or like me talking with my mouth full. That's just what's on my page, y'all. And honestly, it helps my videos do better because then I get more comments that are like, stop smacking, stop eating with your mouth open. You guys are just feeding the algorithm, and I love it.
And
some of the comments on that video are like, well, you basically just eat, like, that's all you do. And I mean, true, honestly. I eat and I talk. But it reminds me of reading these comments. And I did that video where it's like, You would too for a check.
She even admits that she quit her part-time job because she started making more money eating food online than she did working in retail. It's so wild to me that the majority of what we're talking about today happened within a 1-year time span. But as I already said, I've kind of broken this thing down into eras in my brain. So this previous era that we've talked about was a much longer period from 2021 until 2023 when she's basically throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying to figure out what her content is going to be before finding lightning in a bottle. The era we're about to enter together is the era of the mukbang content really taking off and her getting a lot of brand deals and sponsorships and comments from food companies while telling her audience that she really wasn't making that much money making this content. The mukbanging continued without any pause at all. She was posting almost every single day, filming either in an empty classroom on her college campus or in her bedroom at her parents' house. And again, at this point in time, we're starting to see more growth that you would expect and more engagement, I guess, you would expect to see when you're on a mukbanger's page. So her audience is now commenting and asking her to buy specific things or try specific foods. And she also started tagging companies that she was working with, such as Olipop, Burger King, and DoorDash. Food companies also began commenting pretty regularly on her posts, raising canes saying things like, "so many crunches," or "so good." Chipotle commenting, "just a big dollop of happiness watching this vid," and Chili's commenting, "so fire." These businesses commenting things like this seriously give me the ick, but the one that was like the grossest of all that I need you to see was at the 1-year anniversary of that Wingstop video going viral. She did another little Wingstop mukbang to celebrate, and Wingstop actually commented and said, "Oh my god, not it being a year with you," heart emoji. Like seriously, stop it. Why do you gotta make it weird, Wingstop?
Stop it. Get some help.
It was around this point in time that a lot of people started asking questions about how much money she was making to make this kind of content. And I think that's mostly because people were speculating about how much money it would take to sell your soul in order to make this content. But Jelly Bean came out and said, "You are so wrong. I do not make any money on these. My RPM per 1,000 views is like 7 cents, sometimes 40 cents. It's not that high. I don't make that much money." Never mind the fact that she's doing sponsored posts, but okay, we'll believe you.
Sure, Jan.
Fast forward to July of this year, so just about a month ago, if anyone is keeping track. She's in deep, and she's going viral for all the wrong reasons. Most of which happen to be her pouring tons and tons of sauces over mountains of food, listing her videos with captions saying that she finished all of the food in 4 minutes or less, and getting comment after comment about how her content is diabolical. The comments about her pandering to feederism were starting to take over her comment section, with lots of people, especially her very early audience, asking her if these views and this money was worth her health, because it's very clear to everyone by this point in time that she has indeed gained weight, and also you can see that her skin is starting to change from the things that she's eating. But none of the concern, none of the love, none of the hate, none of it stopped her from doing what she was going to do. And I mean, after all, no one could really prove that she was doing this for feeder content, right? Well, that was until someone from the internet reached out to her via direct message to ask if she would do custom eating videos. You can see in the screenshots that this person is requesting to see if she will eat a burrito in a very messy manner. She responds that she just ordered some Taco Bell and that she ordered extra sauces so she could definitely make it messy. They offered her 150 euros to do this, and she agreed that she could do it, and then also asked the person if she could still post the video to TikTok. That made many people feel like she's done this before, probably in a private video, which is why she asked permission to post it to TikTok. It seems likely that at some point in time, Someone requested that she do something similar, but asked her not to post it and only to send it to them. And listen, you know I'm thorough. I know that screenshots can be faked. I know they can be manipulated. But if you take a look at this in the context of all the things that are happening, this person posted screen captures. They also posted a screen recording, which in my opinion is much harder to manipulate. All of that aside, if you look at their actual conversation, the timestamps on this are for July 31st. These screenshots were posted right around August 1st of 2024. And then on July 31st, she posted multiple Taco Bell mukbangs, with the burrito mukbang being the grossest one yet. She wore a pink belly shirt and smashed 2 large burritos together side by side before dousing them in sauce and chowing them down. She was eating so ravenously that she was filling her whole mouth, taking bite after bite without swallowing, at one point having about half a burrito in her mouth at one time. She got sauce on literally everything, her hands, her table, her visible bare stomach, and all. This was disturbing, but in my mind, it cemented that she has indeed done these things before, because she had just messaged this person about making it messy and getting their €150 payment on top of uploading this to her platforms. In my opinion, she has done this before. The other thing that's within these screenshots is you can see that she's not asking them directly for payment, but rather for them to buy her things off of her Throne wish list. That wish list has since been removed. We'll talk about that here in a second. But before it was removed, actually, the Jelly Bean Sweets Snark subreddit did have some screenshots of it, so thank God for people who archive internet nonsense. You can see in these screenshots that she was just adding random things to this wish list, but some of them were pretty pricey. Some of them were $200. I think the highest I saw was around $400 per item. And it's likely if she asked this person to pay her via the wish list, that she was likely asking other people to do the same. She really had it made. She was uploading this mukbang content where she was making money on her platforms. She was selling private videos and getting people to buy her these wish list items. She was getting paid by sponsors and getting brand deals for different things. Everything was going great until around the time these screenshots broke. And now it appears like she has a manager and she's trying to branch into more vlog and travel content. And while she's still making mukbang content, she has slowed down, no longer posting as many, but also when she does post them, she's calling them slow mukbangs, where she's just eating normally. This whole thing is incredibly messy, pun intended, and I, like many, am left feeling like I've seen this film before. And for many people, they're alluding to the fact that Jelly Bean Sweets might be the next Nikocado Avocado. And I can see where they're coming from. Nikocado got his big break breaking up with veganism by doing mukbangs. Jelly Beans breaking up with pescatarianism by doing mukbangs. They both love noodles. They've both visibly gained weight. And they both show their bellies on camera as they eat sloppily for their fans to enjoy. The other thing they have in common that I don't see a lot of people talking about is the fact that both started their content when they were relatively young and pretty fit and healthy, but also that they're both incredibly intelligent. Smart people get caught up in dumb shit literally all the time. This is just 2 examples of that happening. And I think for Jelly Bean's sake, a lot of people are hoping that she won't end up like Nikocado, but honestly, only time will tell. Remember that once upon a time, Nikocado also thought he was just doing this for money and clout. And he was fully convinced and trying to convince other people that he could stop at any time, that he could just walk away whenever he felt like it. It has been almost a decade since he started making content like this, and he's still in it. And he might have more money, but he also has more health problems. I hope that Jelly Bean Sweets will figure it out before it's too late. And to me, it appears that her mukbanging too close to the sun might have been a good thing. It seems like someone has intervened. She has that manager. She's making a drastic-ish shift to this vlog and travel style content. She seriously slowed down on how much she's posting. I hope that all of those are really good signs for her future, but honestly, only time will tell. All right, that is all I have for you all today. At this point, I am so curious to know what you think. Had you seen Jelly Bean Sweets in the wild? She popped up on my For You page, and while I was immediately grossed out, it was like a train wreck I couldn't look away from, and I knew that we would talk about it here on the channel. I did not realize I was going to have to get in so deep, and I hope I did a good job protecting your ears from the eating noises today. But I'm curious to know if any of you saw her content and what you think. Do you think she's the next Nikocado Avocado? If she walks away from doing this feeder kind of mukbang content, do you think she'll be able to maintain her platform? I think that's the most important question, because once you find a niche, it's kind of hard to leave that niche. So I'm curious to see how things will fall for her. And as always, I'm curious to know what you guys think about it, because you always come with such great opinions, so please share them with me down below. And for all my introvert friends out there who may not feel comfortable leaving your opinion in an internet comment section, I see you, I feel you. Go ahead and leave me some sort of like chicken or chicken nugget or fried chicken emoji, because I seriously cannot believe that chicken led this woman into a feederism frenzy, and honestly, I'm hoping she'll be able to just fly the coop and find her way out. If that was too corny, go ahead and leave me a little corn emoji. I'm curious to see how many of you make it to the end of this video. As always, thank you all so much for being here with me this week. I will see you in the next one. Bye!